I'm doing something a little bit different this week. I've been doing a lot of videos on Esports Boxing Club for obvious reasons. There's been a lot of good information coming out. A lot of people are really excited about the game, including myself, with all the fighter announcement shows. I have unfortunately not been able to do many videos on a lot of the boxing matches that have been going on. So today we're going to talk a little bit about that fight. So let's go ahead and get into that, guys. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Boxing Talk with Southpaw. So today I want to talk about last weekend's fight between Canelo Alvarez and Billy Joe Saunders. I'm doing something a little bit different this week. I've been doing a lot of videos on Esports Boxing Club for obvious reasons. There's been a lot of good information coming out. A lot of people are really excited about the game, including myself, with all the fighter announcement shows. I have unfortunately not been able to do many videos on a lot of the boxing matches that have been going on. So today we're going to talk a little bit about that fight. So let's go ahead and get into that, guys, because there's some pretty interesting things that happened leading up to the fight, obviously during the fight, and then after the fight. So the first thing I'll talk about is the pre-fight predictions. A lot of people were asking me on social media who I thought was going to win and why. And there were some pretty heated discussions there on who I thought was going to win, why I thought, and how I thought it was going to go down. I will say that, yes, I did predict that Canelo Alvarez was going to win the fight, and that was not based on, me being a huge fan of Canelo Alvarez. Yes, I think he's one of the best fighters, currently. I think he's one of, if not the pound-for-pound fighter, I think he's one of the top pound-for-pound fighters. There's an argument to be made between him, Earl Smith Jr., Terrence Crawford. But at any rate, talking to some of these people on social media, it was evident that a lot of them were Billy Joe Saunders fans, or either Billy Joe Saunders fan or just not fans of Canelo Alvarez at all. And that's great. That's fine. That's what makes boxing so great, is everybody's got their own views and opinions. But the one thing that I was noticing as I was talking to these other boxing fans, these boxing channels, is a lot of them just were thoroughly convinced that Billy Joe Saunders was going to be the man to beat Canelo Alvarez. And I get why in a lot of ways, because if you look at Canelo Alvarez's past fights with slick boxers, that's where he's had all his trouble, right? He's had all his trouble, and his one defeat came at the hands of a slick boxer in Floyd Mayweather. Now Floyd Mayweather is obviously more than just a slick boxer. He's pound for pound the best boxer, in my opinion, of our generation. I mean, I don't think there's anybody out there as far as pure boxing skills that can beat him, and that obviously showed true because he's never been beaten. At any rate, so when I was talking to these people, and we got into the kind of the debate on why it was going to go down the way it was, a lot of people figured again, Canelo was going to get, he's going to get outboxed. He's going to, Billy Joe Saunders' jab is going to be ever present. It's going to be the problem. And I agreed that, early in the fight, that was definitely going to be the issue that Canelo Alvarez was going to have to try to adjust to. Because again, Canelo Alvarez's fight with Austin Trout, he had a lot of trouble with the slick style of Austin Trout, his jab, his fast hands, his fast feet. But ultimately, I do believe he ended up winning that fight. I think it was close. Him dropping Trout was something that played a big part into it. But his fight with Erislandy Lara, Canelo Alvarez, I believe, lost that fight. I think, if you rewatch the fight and you really watch the way that the fight plays out, Lara was definitely outboxing him for the majority of the fight. I can see why some people, again, would think that Saunders would win. But the difference that I saw was that Canelo Alvarez has definitely improved in his style. He knows when to box, he knows when to be a puncher, and he knows how to break fighters down extremely well. And that's, again, what I saw happening. When I gave my prediction, I think a week before the fight, was I thought that he was going to get a late a late round stoppage. Somewhere between the 8th and 10th round, he was going to stop Billy Joe Saunders. And a lot of people did not like that. They thought that I was just being a fanboy of Canelo Alvarez. They thought that I was just not giving Billy Joe Saunders his due credit. And it had nothing to do with Billy Joe Saunders not being a great boxer. And it had nothing to do with me being a fan of Canelo Alvarez. I'm a fan of the sport of boxing first and foremost, always. If you're going to be a hardcore fan and a true boxing fan, you have to put your feelings aside. It's always facts before feelings. And I think that, you know, when I talked about the fight, the thing that I talked about between Billy Joe Saunders and Canelo Alvarez was that Canelo Alvarez would eventually figure out Billy Joe Saunders and he would break him down. And I said that he needed to, if he was going to win the fight, he needed to invest in the body early. He needed to go to the body early, and that's what he did. And a lot of people were focused, I think, a little bit more on what Billy Joe Saunders was doing right in the fight with his jab and his combinations. I don't think they were really noticing that the body work that Canelo Alvarez was putting in was having an effect, and a pretty dramatic effect. Now, those effects didn't show until a little bit later when Canelo Alvarez, after he started landing some body shots, he started doing feints to the body to see how Saunders would react. Saunders did react. He would start to really protect his body and kind of, pull forward to protect his midsection. But in doing so, he was exposing his face. And that's exactly what ended up happening. Alvarez obviously timed that, caught him with the uppercut, and that was that. And that's a similar idea of what I saw happening. And he's done it many times, Canelo Alvarez, in the past. He puts in that body work. He gets fighters, afraid to take those body shots. And then, of course, he feints to the body and then goes upstairs. That's a very common thing for him to do. And he's knocked a lot of fighters out doing that. Amir Khan, James Kirkland, those are just a few examples of how he's done that. He's invested in the body early. And then when he sees their reactions to it, he gets the right reaction and he goes upstairs. And that's that. At any rate, so, applaud Canelo Alvarez on his performance. He stuck to his game plan. He did exactly what I thought he would do. On the flip side of that, I do have to applaud Billy Joe Saunders on his performance. He actually did exactly what I thought he was going to do. He didn't do as much of it as I thought, but that's not an easy thing to do when it comes to Canelo Alvarez. And another thing that a lot of people were giving Billy Joe Saunders a hard time about was the fact that he threw in the towel, that his corner threw in the towel. Now, I didn't give him a hard time for that because I think he was being very intelligent. He was pretty sure that he had broken his eye socket, his orbital bone, and his cheek, and it turns out that's what happened. So he was looking at his career as a whole. He wasn't going to go out on a shield and then potentially not be able to fight ever again, damage his eye permanently or worse. So that I didn't have the problem with as much as I had the problem with him talking a lot of trash leading up to the fight, saying that he would never quit, and not even that, because I know that's the way that the champions talk. They don't want to ever, they don't want to have any quit in them. But when he started talking about, like when Daniel Dubois quit, when he threw in the towel because he couldn't see, it was a similar situation, different way that it led up to that happening, to him quitting, but in the end it was ultimately the same. Neither one of them could see out of their eye. They both called it quits, and he gave Daniel Dubois a lot of crap for it, basically. So that was my issue, was that he did a lot of talking, and then on a situation he had never been in himself. Obviously, he found out the hard way that it's not always as easy as all that. It's easier said than done when you talk about, when you're talking about your career and your health. So again, I applaud Billy Joe Saunders on a good performance. I was pretty confident Canelo was going to win. So, let me know what you guys' thoughts were on the fight, who you thought was going to win and how, and what you thought about both of their performances. Because I think that they were both, great in their own ways. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is the post-fight press conference, because that was another big subject and a lot of the focus of a lot of talk. When it came to Demetrius Andrade. We saw Andrade at the fight. If you were watching the fight, he had the t-shirt on that read, Canelo, and Billy Joe Saunders are ducking me or they're afraid of me or something like that. Which of course I think that was meant to get under Canelo's skin, or Saunders' skin, whoever won. And at the post-fight press conference, he's Andrade's there, and he applauded Canelo Alvarez on his performance, but I think it was more condescending. That's the way I took it, because right after that, he starts not only trying to promote the fight and get Canelo to fight him, but he's, in my opinion, I thought he was kind of begging for the fight and trying to steal Canelo's thunder. And a lot of people had an issue with me saying this as well. Right after the fight, and I saw the post-fight press conference, I said, man, I think Andrade needs to show some more respect than that. I think he's kind of clowning. And people didn't like that. People were calling me a fanboy of Canelo, saying that, I was really just being too sensitive and that I didn't know how the game worked. And I'm like, man, trust me, I get it. I've been around the game for a while. I get that, fighters are going to use the post-fight press conference as a platform to promote a potential fight for them. I get that. It happens all the time, and it's happened forever. More than anything, man, he was not dignified in the way that he was trying to get the fight. That's not how you get a fight with somebody. I guess it can work on some people, but Alvarez was not taking the bait. I don't think Canelo Alvarez is interested in that. Obviously, it wouldn't make much sense for him. He's about to he one fight away from undisputed, unification of all the belts at super middleweight. He's not going to drop down to 160 pounds to middleweight to fight Demetrius Andrade for one belt. It's just not going to happen. Now, there's a lot that could be talked about when Canelo Alvarez was at 160 pounds and he didn't fight on Andrade then. I get it. There's history there, and there's things that can be talked about. But my point, when I was talking to some of these other boxing, analysts, these boxing fans and channels on social media, was that I didn't like the way that Andrade conducted himself. And it turns out I had a lot of people giving me flack for it, which is fine. I don't mind it at all. I don't mind bantering back and forth with people. I don't mind speaking my opinion and having other people call me out, saying I'm this, that, the other. That's fine. But I felt kind of vindicated when I had, I believe it was Jamel Charlo, posted to his Instagram almost verbatim what I had said about the situation with Andrade, that he was clowning, that he was just looking desperate, and that it was pointless. It wasn't going to work. And in the end, in my opinion, it just made Andrade look silly. Andrade's already on the subject of Canelo. He's kind of a weird guy, and no offense to Andrade in that way at all. He's a great fighter. He's a great boxer. I give him all the respect in the world. I think there's a lot of fighters that do avoid him because he is such a great stylistic boxer. His boxing skills are very, very elite level. I want to know what you guys thought. Any of you guys that watched what was leading up to the fight and the post-fight press conference, give me your thoughts and opinions on everything, how you thought the fight played out. Again, I also want to talk about the fact that the giveaway is still going on, guys, for the Mike Tyson autographed boxing glove. If any of you are interested in that, you can still enter. It's till the beginning of June. And you can get extra entries in for the giveaway. An extra entry for you guys today would be to like this video. Make sure you subscribe, like this video, leave a comment. And another way you can do it as well is to go onto my Instagram page and follow me on Instagram. I've got the information on there for the boxing glove, so you can go on and comment on that post to get an extra entry in. My Instagram is Southpaw Boxing Media, all one word. So go there, check that out. That's pretty much all I got for you guys today. Again, I wanted to do something a little bit different, mix it up, talk about some boxing. And another thing I will talk about before I go, I'm going to be doing more giveaways in the near future as well, guys. So if you're not into the boxing glove, which I don't know who wouldn't be into Mike Tyson signed boxing glove, but if you're not, stay tuned because I'm going to be doing a lot more giveaways in the future. That's pretty much all I got for you guys today. Thanks for watching, guys. This is Southpaw Boxing, out for now.